We are reading Shwetashwatara Upanishad, and we are reading that portion where the yogi he practices this, how he will feel that he is where he will, what is the sign that he is progressing in spiritual life. All those tidbits we got a little bit. In verse number 10, we read that one should perform non spiritual exercises in concentration. How? Na same sarkara bunhi baluka viburjite, restoring a place where there is pure place, places where the ground is level, there is no pebbles, there is no fire, the scenery is very pleasing to the eyes, there is no wind, dust, dampness, and disturbances and noises. So, to make a seat for meditation, one should have to find a place suitable for concentration, suitable where you can focus your mind on God, and external disturbances are less so that the ordinary mind which is disturbed, that will be less disturbed. So that's why. And then we read verse number 11, where it has been said that Ramakrishna also said that you are progressing in spiritual life. You will have some experiences like you will see that mist in the meditation, deep meditation. You are covered with this mist as it were, all over, nothing but the mist around you. And sometimes it is smoke, sometimes it is uh, sun, sometimes the fireflies, as it were, lightning, crystal, moonlight, like that. Those will be the different. So they said, Niharu Dhuma, Arko Analanilanam, Kadyota Vidduta Sputika Sashinam, Etani Rupani Purasharani, Brahmani Avibhyakta Karani Yogi. So Brahman is manifesting in your life, or you are going closer to the realization, or you are moving towards the truth. What will be the sign? Signs will be Brahmani Avibhyakta Karani Yoga in your meditation. Etani Purusharani. This type of vision, this type of experiences, this type of uh, mental uh, expression, you will feel yourself that then you know that you are really. And Ramakrishna said that when once one can cry in the name of God and tears fall out, then you know that you are becoming closer to the uh, to God, as if the sun is rising soon. So those who have the intense urge and yearning for God, that will happen. And here also, in the yoga practice, when I was sitting in yoga posture and trying to concentrate and focus on the heart and think the way it has been described, and then this type of experience will do appear in the mind. That was verse number 11. It says, there are some signs of progress in yoga practices. Shortly before a yogi has his experience of Brahman, he will begin to see the following signs, all suggestive of the experience, like snow, like smoke, the sun, brightness of the sun, the air, the fire around, fireflies like all blinking like that, sparks, crystal like whiteness, the moon, soothing experience of the moon, etc. And we have read that in the gospel we find that when the jamindar or the landlord goes to some poor uh, place, poor um, subject of his to visit, he sends his all the materials needed for his sofa, his chair, because poor man has nothing. So to before he goes, all these things are sent forth. Similarly, when God appears in the heart, before that, this type of experiences will occur. Then he said, then we read the verse number 12 also, the gross elements, the water, air, five elements, are no longer gross to the yogi. They are only their qualities. That is smell, taste, form, touch, and sound. His body is transformed in that. It loses its grossness, and he is no longer susceptible to disease, old age, or death. His death is at his will. Huh? So, if one practices yoga practice like this, as prescribed before, then this we live in the physical world. No, physical world comprises of what? The physical air, the drink, the water, the gross water we drink, we use. Then you can see that earth element. But when your mind becomes pure, it says this elemental thing becomes finer element. Finer element, many you can understand what is finer element. Suppose in your dream you drink water. That is not this water. Suppose in your dream, if you feel that you are really thirsty and someone brings a glass of water and puts in your mouth, then you will get choked. But you drink water in the dream, that is a dream water. Dream water is called the tanmatra. Only water element is there. It is subtle. This is the gross form, that's the subtle form. You breathe the air also, no? In the dream, you are breathing in a dream body. But not this air. You hear fine air, subtle air. It's called tanmatra. Only that air. So all the five elements are there, but they are in a subtle level. So when your mind moves into that subtle level, you will feel the body as if it is no body weight. You will live in a very subtle level, and in that subtle level, that this disease, na tasya yoga, na tasya rogo, na jara na mrityu. That person who is expert in this, he will conquer the disease in the physical body. But if you live in your dream body, this physical body's disease will not enter there. It cannot go there. No, a sick person may feel healthy in the dream, is it not? So this is a subtle level. Mind moves in a subtle level, and you feel as if you have no death, you have no disease, you have no death. A death happens to the physical body. Subtle body continues for a long time. That's why it is called jiva, comes again and again in the cycle of birth and death. So the gross elements, earth, air, water, fire, air, and space, are no longer gross to the experience of the yogi. They are only their qualities. That means the essence of that remains there. That is, his body is transformed. In that, it loses its grossness. This body, that's why yogi's body become very light. There is a example, no? When Ramakrishna was sitting in the Dakshineshwar in front of the temple, Vishnu temple, and they are planning to get a photograph of Ramakrishna, but he was not agreeing. So there came Naren, Swami Vivekananda, young boy, and he said, "What is the problem?" Well, we wanted to take a photograph, and photographer have come from Calcutta, but he is not willing to have it. No photograph. Then it was okay. And then he started talking to Ramakrishna, and issue brought such issues that his mind got into samadhi. And then he indicated, now, take the photograph. And now photographer was going to take the photograph, but his head was like little this. So he went there and tried to lift the chin like that. He saw that the whole body is coming out of the ground. And he was so scared. See, that means that body, physical body weight goes away because they live in their mental level. These are all yogic things. It happens. It's a proof. I'm reading here, but I can compare in Sri Ramakrishna's life. Proves that it is possible. That's why in Ramayana, in Mahabharata, you will find such uh, Hanuman. Uh, is Hanumanji is so powerful. So all powerful people came to lift him. He said, "Okay, you cannot try to lift my tail." And they tried with all their forces, but they could not raise the tail even. That means heaviness. They can exert heaviness, they can feel lightness, as a lightness example. So 12, 13 verse we read that day, that Loguttam, Arogyam, Alolupattam, Varnaprasadam, Sarasaustavam, so Gandha, Shubhau, Mutra Purishamal Alpam, Yoga Pravitting Prathamang Vadanti. So Loguttam, he becomes a slim body. They can be appearing here, disappear. These are all, don't follow this yoga now. Our yoga is simple, call upon God and have God vision. Eh? Don't practice this, Loguttam, Arogyam, all these things. Then you will be showing magic to people and then you will get out of your spiritual practice. Many people get engaged into magical show rather than spirituality because of something like that happens in their life and they get digressed. So these are good for knowing that it may happen. If it happens to you, then don't look at that. It's called the what you call vibhuti. It's called the power of what you call magical power. No, but this is not spirituality. But this is sign that you are moving towards the truth. So don't look at the right and left. When you are journeying somewhere, if you don't get stuck to the right side, one beautiful garden has come, and just get down of the train and go to the garden. Be in your train. Things will come on your right and left. That's why people say, "Oh, I have a light. I saw a light, red light, this light, that light." I don't know what is that red light, light, the light, as I said, that is not, it is good that you see something rather than not seeing anything, like then seeing the ghost. You see something light, that's good. But there is no spirituality is not that. Don't get stuck there. It may give you the sign that you are moving in the right direction, but couldn't get attached. That Ramakrishna didn't like it. Miraculous power, and that destroys the spirituality of the people. Christ did some miracle. That he did for inserting the devotion in other and faith in others' heart that God is there, God can do such things. No, so that but to ordinary people, they will be easily swept away in their name, fame. They will always immediately they will create a band of people around him and make him a avatar. He's a new avatar. And 20 people you can make your fan, and they can beat your drum and say he's avatar, and you can be avatar in this country quickly. So don't bend towards that. This is an indication. Though I'm reading this to understand this may happen if a spiritual aspirant is trying hard and moving towards the truth. He may see light like that, as I said, in the deep darkness. You think that suddenly you see the flickering lamp light like the fireflies, all dark, deep dark, and you see the light blinking like that. Suddenly, no, you may think, "Oh, I have achieved everything." It is nothing. It is only a sign that you have, yes, you have moved certain point. No, go on, go on. How many things will be coming and going till you reach the destination? So here it says Loguttam. Loguttam is a slim body, Arogyam, sound health, Alolupattam, not hankering for worldly enjoyments, etc. তারপরে বর্ণ prasadam. Varna means your skin. It will be glowing. Thakur's skin is to glow like that. When he was doing spiritual sadhana, Ramakrishna's body was like a uh, emitting some light, as it were. The Holy Mother used to say that Ramakrishna had a amulet, golden amulet. His body was almost shining like gold all through. So these are the things happening in yogi's body. So these are all signs. And then sarva, sarva, sarva shraushta. Yeah. That means sweet voice. They don't practice your music, but their music, voice become musical. Ramakrishna's voice was so musical. Swami Vivekananda said, I have not saw or heard such a sweet voice as Sri Ramakrishna. You can find out if you do good meditation, your voice will be different. It will be such sweetness will come in the voice itself. So these are signs that it is happening. Subha Gandha, a good fragrance from the body. Some yogis body, you can see the fragrance of some flower, fragrance of some sandalwood paste, that type of fragrance they emit their body, sweet smell. And urine and feces be both in small quantities. These are all the yoga pravittim. Those are said to be the first signs of a successful yogi. So the signs of yoga is slimness, a healthy body, desirelessness, etc. are not the desirelessness of the only material thing is not the goal. They are incidental. If a person thinks, I shall practice yoga so I can have a healthy body, or because I don't want to get old, it will not do. When you practice yoga, these things may come. Never mind whether they come or not. Your goal is Brahman. If you have these signs, you may be sure that you are moving in the right direction, but it is not that these signs are always there. It is also true. Suppose you are in meditation, all may not see the light, all may not feel the lightness of the body, all may not see that fragrance of the body is coming out. That does not mean that you are now moving towards God. It is a yogic practice, those who do this type of things may come, and it is warning not to get persuaded by that or swept away by that, but to think of the goal of life. Let me read another version, what they say. When the fivefold perceptions of yoga arising from concentration of the mind on earth, water, light, air, and ether have appeared to a yogi, then he has become possessed of a body made of the fire of yoga and will not be touched by disease, old age, or death. The yogi understands that his physical body is a combination of the five elements, and this real self is separate from them, and that as such he is not affected by the disease, old age, or death of the body, which are inseparable from all material things that are by nature always subject to change. He throws off his physical body into fire of yoga and takes up as it were a new individuality, purer than the previous. His physical body itself, he knows, does not change its essential character as matter, whatever changes it may undergo. Matter remains indestructible, so also the soul, which is separate from it. Now it is the 13th verse where we read just now, that you will have the less body lightness of the body, etc. Another translation. It is said that the first sign of entering yoga are the lightness of the body, health, thirstblessness of mind, clearness of complexion, a beautiful voice, agreeable odor, and scantiness of excretions, etc. Verse number 14. 14 says that Jataiva bimbang mridayopaliptam tejomayang bhrajati tat sudhantam tad atmatattam prasamiksha dehi ekaha kritartho bhavate bitasokaha. As it says that Jatha, as just as Mridaya by the dust or dirt, Upaliptam stained by that, the bimbam, the metal disc, is covered and you don't see the material. And when it is Sudhantam, when it is cleaned, it shines forth. Tejo mayam bhrajate, the inner light, inner metal. Suppose any metallic plate covered with dust and dirt, it does not shine that much. But if you can clean it and rub it, then what will happen? The inner shining nature will come out. Tadva, like in a like manner, Dehi, this embodied being, Atma Tattam Prasamiksha, seeing that Atma Tattva, realizing I am the Atman, that Atma Tattva, realizing that Ekaha, he becomes alone. He feels I am the only reality of the universe. He becomes Bitasokaha. He becomes free from all sorrows and sufferings. Kritartho bhavet, he attains the goal of life. So what does it mean? This is just a practice, yoga practice, why needed in our, that's the sadhana we talk about, or spiritual practice. Spiritual practice is so much needed because we are, as it were, gem covered with dust and dirt. So to clean the dust and dirt, gem is gem. Now is also gem. We are all divine, we are all pure. We are all Satchidananda self, birthless, deathless reality. But now this gem is covered with dust and dirt and all types of what you call obstacles covering the truth. So all types of dirt. How to clean that? That's why Vedanta says you use 4 tools to clean the dust and dirt of this. It's, you see, with bhakti, with the tearful eyes cry, so the dirt will be little moistened. Then you rub with the karma, and then throw away vichara, the unreal real, and what is left? Meditation. Concentrate on the truth, what is behind that. And all these 4 yogas practiced, then the gem will shine in its own nature. You need not to make the gem shining. Shining is the nature of the gem. But only dust and dirt is covered. In another way, we always talk about that. We are all pure, but Maya or ignorance has covered us, and we don't see our real nature. We see only the covering. What is covered, that we see from outside, not what is inside. So here is this verse 14 says, just as the same metal disc which was stained by dust before shines brilliantly when cleaned. So the embodied being, we are all embodied being, this embodied being, seeing the truth of the Atman, realizes oneness and attains the goal and becomes sorrowless, goes beyond all sorrow and suffering and death and pain. It's a good example. Bimbo money means a lump of gold or any bright metal. So what remains ultimately that you remain in your divine self. So it is very important that cleaning of the mind, cleaning of the our understanding is the spiritual practice. Uh, why to do all this yoga practice? To clear the mind and purify the mind. And yoga is not for yoga, not for good health. It can bring good health. That's why Hatajogi, we call it Hatajogi. Hatajogi, they pay total attention on the body and they can extend their body for hundreds of years. Yogis can live for hundreds of years. There will be no disease, there will be no some physical ailment because of their practice. Hmm? I told you the other day that in Uttarkashi one time we had the opportunity to go to see a Hatha Yogi. Hatha Yogi means she does all this neti, dhoti, cleanliness, this, that, and all the exercises. And people say that his age is 350 years. A man can live 350 years. We can, don't hear so much. So we went to visit and see that Swami. His body is from Punjabi, and very tall and strong. And so he's lying down in his own self. And people are saying that lives here for 350 years. He came here in the early days of his childhood and lives here in the forest in this area. Why? How do you know it is so long? So my father learned from his father learned from his father. So generations after went on, so it calculated about 350 years life. But anyhow, so you can experiment that, and 350 years can go on body, 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 body. But by 350 years, one can realize God also. But that is the process of the Hatha yogis. And we are talking about Raja yogis. And Raja yogis is even Vibhuti Pad, the power chapter. There is also description. You do this, you focus on the sun looking like that, and you get the power, this power. So all these powers can come, but don't get deluded. That power brings ego, brings pride, and brings so much praise from the society and people that you forget your goal. So not that, but go forward. That is this verse is putting that emphasis because it is a gem is here and it is covered with dust and dirt. We are all seem so ordinary, but we are all powerful. We are all pure. We are all stainless, and we are all what is called Atman, pure self. No, but we are looking so dirty, as it were. No knowledge, no experience, and suffering and crying and weeping in the days, every day's life struggles and turmoils. No, but not that is not me. Only remove the darkness, remove the dirt by practicing this yoga in a right way. So, suppose you have a piece of gold that is covered with dirt. Perhaps it was buried in the ground for a long time, and because of its covering, you did not see the gold. What do? You remove the dirt and wash the gold. Then the true nature of the gold reveals itself. Again, maybe there is a pond in your neighborhood of clean, pure water, but it is covered with scum. Remove the scum, push it aside, then you can drink the water. In the same way, the self within us is hidden. Through the practice of yoga, the impurities of the mind are removed and Brahman shines within. The yogi then sees the same capital self within and in everywhere. The same indwelling spirit everywhere. The self is eka, one, not many. Sri Ramakrishna used the example of pillow. You have so many different pillows, different sizes, different shapes, different colors, but all of them contain the same stuffing. Similarly, we appear different because of our different names and forms, but in essence, we are all one and the same Brahman. When you realize this oneness, then you are free. You then feel that you have attained everything you wanted, and you also feel that you are beyond all sorrow and suffering. In fact, pleasure and pain are becomes then same to you. So pleasure and pain become same to that person who cleans the gold covered by ignorance, covered by our negativities. Now this 15th verse says, Jad atma tattena tu brahma tattam deepam deepam eneha yukta propashet ajang dhruvam sarvatattvair vishuddham gyatva devam muchyate sarvapasaihi yukta means anyone who is practicing yoga, jada means when, deepopamene like a bright lamp. It is Atma Tatteno by himself, Brahma Tattam as Brahman, Praposati. Then that it's when it says Jada means when Jukta, Jukta means this individual's person who is practicing meditation and yoga. Jukta means yogi. When the yogi, Deepo Pomena, like example, like a lamp, light, like a lamp burning here, Atma Tattena, by the truth of Atman, Brahma Tattam, the truth of Brahman, proposed, sees, that is when the yogi realizes the truth of Brahman through the perception of the truth of Atman in this body. Huh? That means this is a progress. You have to see the Lord first here, and then you can see God everywhere. People think that to seeing God everywhere, it is an advanced state. You can see God everywhere when you see God here. When you understand you are Atman, then you can see that same reflection is everywhere. So that is this verse saying. When the yogi realizes the truth of Brahman through the perception of the truth of Atman, first Atman in this body. There is Atman, there is consciousness, there is blessedness, there is Satchidananda self here within me. With meditation and prayer and all this, when that is cleaned and cleaned and cleaned, we understand it is the self-effulgent Atman, then when the eyes open, they can see Brahman everywhere. ওই যে বিজ্ঞানবাদ বিজ্ঞানবাদ comes to a reality, to a person who has experienced here. We can adapt those principles to think that God is in everywhere. But experience will come when one sees inside first and then his eyes open. You know, mind is like a glass, eyeglass. You make it colored, it will be colored in that coloring. So when it is colored in the color of Atman, the consciousness, then that consciousness will be pervaded everywhere. When it is covered with ignorance, we see we are ignorant everywhere. Knowing the divinity as unborn, eternal, and free from all the modifications of Prakriti, then he is freed from all sins. Sarva papai, all deepam meneha yukta proposed, then ajam, and birthless nature, dhruvam, eternal nature, sarva tattva vishuddham, free from all modifications of the tattva. Tattva means five tattvas, pancha tattva. What are five tattva? Kriti, up, tej, marudbam. Earth, air, water, fire, and space. So it is freed from all these. The Devam, the divinity, realizing that divinity, one becomes free from sarva papoihi vimuchyate. They become free from all sins, all ignorance. So when the yogi realizes the truth of Brahman, to the perception of the truth of Atman in this body, and understands as it is a self-luminous Atman, self-luminous entity, Then, knowing the divinity, this divinity is unborn, eternal, free from all modification, changes of the nature, he becomes free from all ignorance. Sin, Vedanta does not accept sin, sin as such not in the Christian idea. Sin here means ignorance, not knowingness, not understanding the right thing in right way. This mantra identifies the pure spirit, Atman, in man, with the spirit at the back of the universe. This is the conclusion. It's coming one by one, step by step. That but first, if you're progressing in spiritual life, you may have some vision, some experience, some light, this, that. If you still continue, then you understand that light is here, and that light is eternal, and that light is birthless, that light is endless. Knowing this, then you open the eyes, you see that everything is permeated by that. That means your own consciousness and the cosmic consciousness are same. It is called Aham Brahmasmi. I am that. Tat Tamasi. Thou art that. So this experience will be spontaneous. So emphasizes that this true knowledge of the nature of God and his affinity with the soul of man constitute perfection in yoga. This mantra is also remarkable for this simultaneous use of the important Vedantic term Atman, Brahman, and Deva. Atman means spirit in the embodied state. Brahman interpreted as unrelated to the universe, is spirit in transcendence, the impersonal absolute of the philosophy. Interpreted, however, in relation to the universe, the word means the personal God of religion, that is spirit behind the universe. They are Deva, here is translated divinity, and clearly implies divine personality. It's the same as the Brahman as personal God. So he's making a connection that personality and impersonality becomes blended. Everything becomes impersonal. Person melts into the impersonal. In Vedantic literature, the meaning of these terms, though definite, are often imperceptibly sets off into one another. Although this leads to confusion sometimes, it is really one of the most charming features of Vedantic thought and is responsible for making it the highest mysticism and philosophy in one. So what do we get in verse number this 15? This 15 says that a yogi sees himself as a bright lamp, and he also clearly sees that he is one with Brahman. As a result, he goes beyond birth and death, beyond all modification. He is then impervious to all enticement of ignorance. Having known that self luminous self, he becomes free from all bonds that ignorance can impose. So Swami Lokeshwarananda comments here, physical changes may or may not come to a person practicing yoga. All people may not have this, what we hear just now. As you are practicing yoga, all these symptoms will come. It may not come to somebody, depending on as I give you the example, people can, we are all going for hiking. So if you are hiking, you can take the eastern trail, and someone can go to the western trail, and northern and southern. So when you are going eastern trail, you will have a different experience. You see something different. Western trail person will say, no, I see something different. One may have seen glorious light and this and that. Another may see nothing happening. It's a Vedantic thought. Only thinking, not this, not this, not this, dry path. But he's moving towards a goal. All will see the same thing when you climb up the top. So these are only difference in experience in the journey because of the choice of the person. But it may happen. You may see light, you may not see light. Does not mean that you are not progressing spiritually. This happens, it's a milestone. When you are driving, someone says you will find one McDonald shop on the right and then take a turn here. No? So that you know that I have come to McDonald means I'm right. Up to this point, I'm right. No? So in spiritual life, it may happen. But if you don't know even, but you take a turn on the road, you will reach the same goal. You need not have to look at the McDonald shop or the sign. So similarly, one can make a spiritual progress by understanding the real nature here, and with that knowledge, seeing the world as a reflection of that, and then what kind finding oneness with out and in, inside and outside. So a yogi becomes a different person. A yogi becomes a different person. Now we identify ourselves with the tattvas means five elements, and that is with the body and its physical universe. But when a yogi realizes his true nature, he knows he is not the body. He is beyond the body, beyond the intellect and limitation. He knows he is not bound by anything. He is free. Someone may tell him he is just imagining it, that he is suffering from a hallucination, but he knows he is no longer the same weak, bound individual. He knows what he is, and because of it, his whole outlook, his dealings with the people, all changes. When a yogi realizes his true self, he sees himself everywhere, in everything. He can no longer hurt anyone because all distinctions of I and you, Asmat and Jusmat, disappear. For him, there is only I. This is what is called liberation. This is the goal of life. Okay? Shall we read further or you have any question?
No questions online yet?
Hmm?
No questions online.
No question, okay. Acha, so let us read another verse. Eshaha deva pradishonu sarvaha purvoha jato saugarbhe antaha saiva jato janishyamanaha pratyang janang tishtati sarvatu mukhaha. Esha here deva, meaning this. Esha, Esha means this. Deva means this divinity which we are talking about. Esha deva. Sarva means everyone, all. Pradisho, it is covers all directions. This divinity pervades all direction. When you see the divine here, then you see it is everywhere, in all directions, east, west, north, south. There is no place where it is not. And that's why you find that Christian mystics, they are also saying the same language. Huh? Christ in the front, Christ in the back, Christ on the left, Christ on the right, Christ below, Christ above. They're seeing the same reality everywhere. Uh, our Hindu mystics, they also say, Upanishad says, Ato ato jatata paro divi surjo ditpate vishwata prishteshu uttameshu anuttameshu lokeshu idagum bhava. Vedarna Upanishad says that when that ato other that 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 light which shines in this earth and in the interspace and below, that which covers everywhere, it is the same light everywhere, the same experience. Divi Surja Dipat, as in the Duloka, in the space, as the sun shines there, that type of light is everywhere seen. It is permeated in and out and everywhere. That means that Esha Deva, this divinity, when it is understood and realized, Sarva Pradesha, all directions, in their in their entirety. Not that here is less light, there is more light, there is brighter light, lesser light. Everywhere it shines forth its equal um, power. Purbo Hijato, that reality, that's why it's called, it's a personality they're talking about. It's called the Hiranyagarbha. Hmm? Hiranya means gold. Hiranyagarbha is shining like the gold. Hiranyagarbha. So he is the Purbo Hijato. He is born in the early, firstborn, and his name is Hiranyagarbha. So Garbhe Antaha. He has entered into the womb. And he is also Jataha. He is born and is born in future. And he is inside. So Eva Janishamana. He is inside Prattam. Prattam is inside. That Hiranyagarbha, he is inside all persons as the indwelling self. So Prattam Janang Stishtati. Prattam Janan, he is in every person's heart, he is indwelling in the self of all persons. And Sarvatu Mukha, he facing in all directions or expressing himself to all the faces. So this is the beautiful idea here, that this Devata, knowing this Devata, one will find that it is everywhere, all around, and it has been born from the womb of that light, and it spreads everywhere, this cosmic light. So this cosmic self, the Supreme Lord, is in every direction, everywhere. He is the first manifestation of Brahman. He is called Hiranyagarbha, the cosmic mind. He is present in the womb. He is born as the child, and he will be born again as a child. All faces are his faces, the Virata, the sum total of all bodies. He is in every being that way. So he is born first manifestation of Brahman. Brahman is subtle, he is the cosmic mind, but he is also the Sthula gross, and he is then the Virata, the sum total of all bodies. Sometimes he is visible, sometimes he is not visible. We see so many people being born, others will be born in future. One thing exists now, it will die, another thing will appear, but it is all Brahman, the cosmic self. Only the name and form changes. It is the face of everywhere. It is his face everywhere, whether born now or in the future, whether subtle or gross, whether visible or invisible, it is the same Brahman everywhere. That's why we chant the mantra in the puja worship time. Sahasra Sirsha Purushaha. That Purusha, that conscious entity, is in the all the heads are his head, all the hands are his hands, all the legs, it is his legs. He walks in millions of legs, he eats to millions of mouth, he sees to millions of eyes. So it is he is everywhere. And Holy Mother seeing that the crawling ant, and he's seeing it is Ramakrishna walking. The eyes, it is exactly Ramakrishna's eyes. Mother says like that. So that is the experience will come. It's everywhere. Okay, and another verse, then we finish this chapter. This is the 17th verse. Huh?
So now some questions.
Okay, so let me finish this. We can just write. It is uh, this is very beautiful way of meditation also. It says Yodeva Agno, that divine entity who is in the fire, Jo Apsu, who is in the water, Jo Vishang Bhuvanam Avivesha, that which is in the water, plants and big banyan trees. Jo Apsu, Jo Visham, in this earth, Bhuvanam, interpenetrating, Avivesha, it interpenetrates everywhere. Jo Oshadishu, who is in the trees and plants. Jo Oshadi means plants, and Banaspati means big tree, who resides in the small plants to the giant trees. He who resides everywhere. Tasmai Devayo Namo Namaha. I salute that divine entity everywhere, who resides everywhere. That means it's a beautiful meditation. That luminous cosmic self, which is in the fire, Agnu in the fire. We can see when you see the fire, we can see it is this divine, same divine consciousness manifesting as fire. And it is in the water. When we drink water, we see water. One can remind himself it is the same divine entity in the plants and in the big banyan trees. In short, the same self pervades the whole universe. Our adoration to that self again and again. According to Vedanta, this idea of unity is the most important thing. The consciousness of unity is the goal of life. You and I are the same. We are not separate. Now, someone may say that this is a nice utopian idea, but it is realistic. Is it practical? If a thief comes along, we'll say, oh, that thief is Brahman, so leave him alone. Can society function like that? But Vedanta is very pragmatic. Sri Krishna told Arjuna that if there was evil, he must fight it. If there was repression or wickedness somewhere, it was his duty to eliminate it. Sri Ramakrishna used to tell the story of the elephant god and Mahut god. The teacher told him, the disciple, we know that story. Huh? That there was a mad elephant going, and mm, one what will you say? One sadhaka, one monk, he was going, and everyone is saying, "Mad elephant is coming! Get out of the way! Get out of the way!" He has heard from his guru that God resides in everyone. So he said that if the elephant is coming, God is there also. So why shall I get out? So he stood in the room, middle of the road, and naturally the elephant came and threw him in the trunk and threw away. And he became unconscious and broken his arms and things. So when others came to know the sadhu is lying down, so they took him back, and then afterwards, when he regained consciousness, he asked, why did you stand in the path of a mad elephant? Well, because my guru said that it's a mad elephant is God. A mad elephant is God, but the Mahut elephant, the driver elephant, who is driving the elephant, he is saying, get out, get out. He is also God. Why didn't you see his instruction? So this is the confusion, no? You should also have to be practical in realistic life. You cannot treat the same way. Though you know inside is same. Inside electricity is same. But some electricity is producing through an instrument heat and another cool. So those are heat and cool because of the instrument, though the supply energy is behind the same. So God is same everywhere, but someone is a good, better manifestation like a holy man, someone is unholy, someone is brutal, someone is thief. So all types of things. So you should utilize your acquaintance in the same way. So the verse underlies the idea that there is the same self in human beings, animals, insects, and plants. Since you are the self, you cannot hurt others without hurting yourself. You damage your environment only at peril to yourself. Sri Ramakrishna would feel the pain within himself if he saw anyone beating an animal or even plucking a flower. So that consciousness goes up to that. So that means to see God everywhere. Presence of God everywhere. Okay, so this is the verse number 17, and that ends the chapter 2. But this verse is very good. Few verses, if we can meditate on them, that will be very interesting meditation. Yo Devo Agno Yopsu, that God who is in the in the fire, in the water, in the earth, who is permeating everywhere, in the plants and in the trees. I salute that God everywhere. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ram Krishna Panamastu. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Swami Medhananda will be giving the gospel class. Tomorrow, Swami Medhananda, 7:30 gospel class. What is the difference between God realization and self realization? Is it the same? Now we have to define what is called God, what is called self. If you think self, God is used as personal God. So personal God is you get the vision of your Ishta Devata, that's personal vision. But if you say self-realization, that means that your ego is getting merged into the consciousness. So one is saguna, one is nirguna. So there may be difference, or if you don't mean that way, by the word God, you mean that self, then it is same. But normally God is in Judeo-Christian idea. God, the absolute Brahman with Maya is called God. Absolute Brahman does not do anything. But when added with Maya, the power of manifestation, when it becomes, then he becomes Ishvara. Then he says, I shall create the world. I will be many. Huh? So that is the, but in which sense we are using the word God and self is to be understood. Self capital is my real nature, and God, God, it is a Saguna Brahma. Saguna means Brahman, Nirakara, but Saguna. No form, no limit, but is quality of compassion, holiness, redemption. That is called God, normal. We call Bhagavan, we call Ishvara in Hindu idea. And we have different strategy. Ishvara, Brahman. Brahman is above. That means above means there is no modification there. Absolutely one. When it's added with Maya, he becomes Ishvara, the creator God. And from him comes all this creation. So, which sense you are meaning? If you say self as capital self, then it is, I will say that is the highest. Because in that self, there is no duality. But if you come down from bhakti standpoint, God realization is much charming because you enjoy the presence of God, keeping little separation. Anyhow, and another question, when interpreted in relation to the universe, Brahman means the personal God of religion. What does that mean? You please ask the Swami.
No, it is written there in the book. The addition of the Swami's book we made.
So then Swami should say. When interpreted in relation to the universe, Brahman means the personal. Yeah, if you say that in relation to the universe, created universe, then there should be some creator, and in that sense, you can say God is personal. Anyhow, next question. In the deep sleep, is there ignorance or is there only consciousness shining? If there is ignorance, how to overcome this? Can one be aware in deep sleep also? Yeah, we go every day to deep sleep, but we get blocked there. There is a deep, dark veil of ignorance. That's why we come out every day. I had a good sleep last night, but I do not know. When you called me, when it rained, that means you know that you are not knowing anything. Not knowing was the subject, but there is some knowledge. I know. Is it a knowledge? Yes or no? I know. Is it a knowledge or no?
Yes.
Yes. I do not know is a knowledge.
Yes.
In both cases, knowledge is there. So when you go to deep sleep, you say, I do not know. That means there is a ignorance. But that to say I do not know, you need some consciousness. And that is called the unchanging consciousness, which is working now also. I am seeing you, I'm talking to you by that consciousness at the back. It is not changing. And I go to dream, the same consciousness remains there. That's why dream is experienced. And when the mind goes to sleep, mind does not function anyway, but it goes close to that, and there is an ignorant wall of ignorance. No, that's why we do not understand beyond. But by meditation, you can go. That's the process. We sleep. We go to sleep by what? Unconsciously, we go to sleep, isn't it? But when you meditate, what do you go? You keep your mind thinking, I'm not the body, or you are thinking of your Ishta Devata, and he is full of bliss, he is Satchidananda, he is a light eternal, he is bliss eternal. You think like that and do the mantra and other things. That means you are off from all the world, that you are penetrating that veil of ignorance. That's why meditation is the process through which we can break the veil of ignorance, but not through sleeping. So everyone sleeps, but we come back the same old guy. Yesterday's person and today's person is the same. But if you go there in meditation, then you come back, you are a realized soul. We call you a saint. This is the difference. Is Hiranyagarbha and Yoga related as per Upanishad? Is Hiranyagarbha and Yoga related as per Upanishad? We read the Upanishad. There they are mentioning the Hiranyagarbha idea. Yes, it is connected that way. It is all are connected together. Another question is the definition of sin absolute, or does it depend on circumstances? One who has committed sin, punishment is our ignorance. But in Hinduism, we don't say sin, though we use the word papa. But papa means some ignorant function, ignorant acting. When you know it, then it is no more sin. And you cannot commit sin. If you know, then you don't do the mistake. And absolute sin, there is no absolute sin in Hinduism. It is ignorance comes and ignorance goes. You remain the same. Okay, so thank you.
Some more questions are coming.
A lot
Would you
more
take that?
questions.
Or maybe next week we can have.
Acha, why not keep the questions for the next week? Because it is already 8:38 for 35. I could have stopped it early had I known something is coming.
Yeah, I'm gonna start asking them early for the questions, like
Ah,
20 minutes before class is over. I'll ask.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Anyhow, one question brings another question. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace.